Today, we're going deep into a really tough issue in India, the place where the struggles of caste and gender collide. For millions of women, the fight for a dignified life is a battle on two fronts. We're going to look at what that really means, why it's still happening, and the incredible strength of the women fighting for change.
I want to start with a story. These are the words of Manisha, a woman from Uttar Pradesh. What she's describing isn't just a job, it's a look into a reality that is forced on so many women. This is the human cost at the very heart of what we're talking about today, and it's so important that we keep voices like hers right here, front and center.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll get into what this double burden actually is, and then look at the shocking reality of something called manual scavenging. From there, we'll see how it locks people into a cycle of poverty, hear from the women who are fighting back, and finally explore what's actually working to create a path to empowerment.
Okay, let's dive into our first section, the double burden. For so many women in India, their identity isn't just about being a woman. It's also defined by the caste they are born into. And when these two forces crash together, they create this unique and incredibly heavy form of disadvantage.
This is what's known as double discrimination. It means you're not just facing prejudice because you're a woman or because you're from a lower caste. No, you're facing the combined, crushing weight of both at the same time. And this just severely limits access to the most basic things, education, healthcare, a chance to earn a decent living. It's like a wall built with two thick layers of prejudice.
And this discrimination, it takes its most extreme and dehumanizing form in a practice that is not only horrific, but also illegal. And yet it continues to trap millions. We're talking about the unspeakable job of manual scavenging.
So what exactly is this practice? It's a term some of us might have heard, but the grim reality of it is something that's often kept hidden from sight. So at its core, manual scavenging is cleaning human waste by hand, without any protective gear or modern tools. But here's the most important part of this definition. It is caste-based and hereditary. This is not a job anyone chooses. It is an occupation that is forced on people, almost only Dalits, and passed down from one generation to the next.
The scale of this is just staggering. An estimated 1.3 million people in India are trapped in this practice. And get this, the vast majority, something like 95%, are women. This isn't some small fringe issue, it's a massive human rights crisis affecting a population larger than many cities.
Let's just break down the injustice here. First, it's basically a form of modern slavery reserved for one community. Second, the conditions are beyond unsanitary. They are designed to strip a person of their dignity. And third, even though it's been illegal for decades, it continues. And the pay, it's pure exploitation. Sometimes it's not even money, but just leftover food, which only reinforces this sense of bondage, not employment.
This timeline really shows the huge gap between the law and what's happening on the ground. India has had laws against this for over 30 years. In 2013, they passed an even stronger law, and the Supreme Court itself called it a violation of human rights. So the big question, the one we have to ask, is why isn't it being enforced? And that question of enforcement leads us right to the economic engine that keeps this whole system running, the cycle of poverty. Social discrimination isn't just about feelings or attitudes. It is the very foundation of an economic reality that creates traps that are almost impossible to escape.
There's a global concept called the feminization of poverty. It's this trend where women are way more likely to be poor because of barriers in the system. Well, in India, this gets supercharged by the caste system. When you fuse the economic disadvantages of being a woman with the social exclusion of being from a lower caste, the effect isn't just added together, it's compounded, creating this nearly inescapable trap.
And while women across all castes can face discrimination, the kind of discrimination is very different. For women in higher castes, it might be about rigid social rules. But for women in lower castes, it's about sheer economic survival. And that makes it almost impossible to fight back against forced labor or demand your basic rights.
And the hard data absolutely backs this up. This chart shows the gender wage gap in India. For doing similar work, a woman earns 20 to 30% less than a man. That's not just a statistic, it's a systemic problem that helps keep families locked in poverty.
So where are women working? This chart shows that a shocking 90% of working women in India are in the informal sector. What does that mean? It means jobs with zero security, no benefits, really low pay, and little to no legal protection. This is the economic machine that keeps that cycle of poverty turning.
But, and this is so important, this is not just a story of victimhood. In the face of unbelievable pressure, women are organizing, they're resisting, and they are demanding their dignity. This next section is all about their voices of defiance. Just listen to these words from Gangashri. This isn't someone asking for labor. It's straight-up coercion, backed by violent threats. The pressure to keep doing this work comes from the community itself, and it shows the immense, paralyzing fear these women have to overcome every single day.
This quote is just chilling. It shows the extreme real-world danger involved in simply saying no. To stop doing this forced work isn't like quitting a job. It's an act of profound bravery that could literally cost you your life. The courage it takes to walk away from that, well, it's hard to even imagine.
So how do they do it? How do they find that strength? Well, they don't do it alone. The key is solidarity. Organizations like the National Campaign for Dignity create this crucial support system. They teach women about their rights, offer legal help, and build a community that gives them the collective power to stand up to the system.
And that brings us to our final section, Pathways to Empowerment. Because defiance is that first incredible step, but building a sustainable future of dignity, that's the ultimate goal. So let's look at the strategies that are creating real, lasting change.
One of the most powerful tools for empowerment has been the self-help group. And as you can see, their impact is huge, and it's about so much more than just money. They help women save and get access to loans, sure, but they also build community networks and give women the tools to start their own small businesses. And the scale is just massive. Over 87 million women are part of these groups.
And if we zoom out, we can look at bigger models that have worked, like in the state of Kerala. Their approach is such a powerful example. They didn't just try to fix one thing. They prioritized literacy for everyone, made sure healthcare was accessible, and put a huge focus on empowering and educating women. This investment in people created a foundation that lifted so many out of poverty.
And this brings us back to personal stories. But this time, they're stories of triumph. Just imagine that transformation. A group of women who were once forced into this degrading work now collectively own a fishing business. They have a joint bank account. This isn't just a new job. It's economic independence and collective power. It's dignity.
This might be the most powerful story of all. A woman who learned her rights and left manual scavenging didn't just find a new job. She ran for office, and she won. She's now a community leader, actually making decisions, building roads and drains, helping others. She has gone from being one of the most marginalized people in society to someone who holds power and uses it for good. It's just incredible.
So we end with this question. We've seen that dignity can be written down as a right, but that's clearly not enough. To make that right a real lived experience takes economic empowerment, it takes community solidarity, and it takes an incredible amount of personal courage. The journey is far from over, but the paths forward are being created by the very women who were once denied their most basic human dignity.